It was another quiet night at the office. No phone calls, no messages, nothing but junk mail and overdue bills to keep me company. Seems nobody wants to hire a real private dick anymore, a professional like me. A guy who does the detective work nobody else wants to do. A guy who wears hats and walks around in a black and white world. I began contemplating a more profitable line of work, like politics.
We are the show you want to know. It's time to talk to you.
All right, folks, good afternoon. Welcome to the Wednesday edition of the Joe Mangiacotti Show here on AM 830 WCRN. You can join the conversation at 508-871-7000. That's 508-871-7000 for the next hour. And, of course, you can join the conversation via a text simply by texting the show at 617-297-8388. 617-297-8388. You would text that just like you would anybody else. It appears here on the screen in the studio in real time. We try to work it into the conversation. All right. Don't forget the station does stream 24/7 on the TuneIn app. That's right. You can, like thousands of other radio stations, you can take us anywhere by streaming us on your device and cell phone, tablet, etc., as well as tell Alexa to play WCR, and she'll do that, no questions asked. That's a pretty cool thing there. And we do stream this show. We do stream it on my social media platforms at Joe Mangi, M-A-N-G-I, Joe Mangi Show. So Facebook, X, Twitter, I said X, that's the same thing, right? Twitch TV, LinkedIn profile, and we do stream live to Rumble and the station's Facebook page, as well as YouTube channel. Today, back at HQ, flying the board behind the glass, taking your calls at 508-871-7000. He'll get you into the studio for two-way talk and conversation. All right, a lot to talk about today, and I'm going to bring this up right away because I got to talk about the White House, the renovations, additions, fires, rebuilds over the years, and I see the left, they're losing their mind on this. And I don't understand this. You know, I've had about enough with this latest round of Trump derangement syndrome coming out of Washington and the media echo chamber, for that matter. All because Donald J. Trump is building a privately funded ballroom at the White House. You think he was bulldozing the Lincoln bedroom with his bare hands the way they're carrying on. Let's get a grip on this, folks. Every modern president has added, renovated, rebuilt, or repurposed parts of the house. It's what presidents do. Teddy Roosevelt built the West Wing. Taft gave us the Oval Office. FDR added a pool and expanded the East Wing. Truman gutted and rebuilt the entire interior. Nixon turned that pool into the press briefing room. Obama built a basketball court. And now Trump's adding a ballroom, which both sides of the aisle have said the White House should have for generations. Now, it's privately funded, by the way. I know Schumer is out there talking about taxpayer money and so forth, but once again, he's clueless on what he's talking about. Privately funded. And somehow, that's the outrage of the week. So give me a break on this. And here's where the hypocrisy really takes center stage. The same media that in hysterics over Trump's ballroom had no problem, and including the ladies of The View here, who were singing to the You Don't Own That song and reminding us it's not his house. He's perfectly aware it's not his house, it's the people's house. But they didn't have any problem when the Clintons were literally renting out the Lincoln bedroom to big donors. Remember that? Hundreds of them. People who cut six-figure checks to sleep in the people's house. Do you remember that? Or is that conveniently forgot? Nearly 1,000 guests, $6 million raised for the DNC, and not a single front page scandal on it. That's not modernizing, that's monetizing. And let's not forget, when the Clintons left the White House, they took about $28,000 worth of furnishings that were later returned after it turned out the items belonged to the American people. Yet somehow, building a privately funded ballroom, which adds value, not takes it away, is where the media draws the line. That's rich. Let's get something straight. This ballroom project isn't some ego-driven palace addition. It's something both parties have wanted for decades. A proper, secure indoor event space for state dinners, national ceremonies, and diplomatic events. Every president since Reagan has said the same thing. The White House needs it. But no, none of them did it. Of course, we can point to so many things that former presidents have said we need to do or this should be done and didn't do it, and Trump has. Trump looked at the inefficiency, found private funding, and made it happen without costing taxpayers a single dime. Meanwhile, the same crowd that cheered Obama's basketball court and looked the other way when the Clintons turned the Lincoln bedroom into an ATM machine now clutches at their pearls because Trump's ballroom might actually make the White House more functional. Spare me. Either you respect the history of presidential renovations or you admit your outrage has nothing to do with the architecture. It's just Trump again. Plus, don't forget all these inauguration nights, right? They go, what does the president get sworn in and then they do what, 6, 7, 8, 10 balls? None of them at the White House. Here's the bigger picture, my friends. The White House has never been frozen in time. It burned to the ground in 1814, was rebuilt. Roosevelt, Taft, FDR, Truman, every one of them left their mark. That's not desecration, that's history in motion. What Trump is doing fits right in to that long line of presidents shaping the people's house to meet the needs of their era. The only difference is he's paying for it privately this time. And that's what really drives them crazy. Because Trump's ballroom doesn't fit the DC model. No taxpayer tab, no bureaucracy, no waste, just results. And that's what the establishment can't stand. A president who builds efficiently and proves that private enterprise can still outpace government red tape. So let's call it for what it is. Not architectural scandal, not even a story, just another case. And case study, that is, in Trump derangement syndrome. The critics don't care about tradition or precedent or even propriety. They only care that Donald Trump is the one holding the shovel. And once again, he's the only guy in Washington actually getting something done. And yeah, my producer's reminding me that no need for zoning. Now, on that, there's no need for the destruction and all that. There will be zoning on the construction part of it. What they're going through now, they didn't have to get anything done. But let's see what happens with that. But Trump builds a ballroom funded privately by donors who love country, not out of public coffers, and suddenly it's authoritarian, extravagant, self-serving. That one I love. It doesn't, if it goes by schedule, but he has a tendency to deliver before and on budget, but he'll be going out of office when it's completed. So unless he intends to use the ballroom for his third inauguration ball, he really won't get to use it at all. No. What it is, America, it's initiative, right? It's private enterprise solving a public need. It's efficiency over bureaucracy, and that's exactly why they hate it, because it reminds the DC establishment that Trump doesn't play by their wasteful taxpayer-funded rules. Now, it's been altered since its construction in 1790s. I said earlier, it was burned, War of 1812. British forces burned it in 1814 and subsequently rebuilt. Theodore Roosevelt in 1902, new century, he said, hey, we got to modernize it. And he created the West Wing when he did this, right? Moving the office out and trying to divide the residency and so forth. William Taft added the formalized Oval Office in 1909. And Franklin D. Roosevelt expanded and reconfigured the West Wing and added amenities, including that pool, by the way, in the 1930s. And a catastrophic structural crisis led Harry Truman to gut and rebuild the interior from 1948 to 1952. Now, I always I always suspected that was post-World War II. Technology was booming, and I think they used that as a cover story to put the bunker in, reinforce the White House, add all kinds of security features, because they basically covered it up, gutted it for 4 years, rebuilt the White House, and it probably had a lot of James Bond type stuff in there. But that's just my theory. Later presidents repurposed spaces, right? Truman rebuilt that interior, and then Nixon built the press briefing room, and he did it over that pool in 1970. Modernized grounds and amenities, the dual tennis basketball court under Obama, and now we're talking about a large privately funded ballroom project that would represent the most extensive new addition in decades. So what is the real problem? What is the problem? Presidents have done this. And yes, I'll grant you, the only difference at this time is literally not asking Congress for money or taking taxpayer money or diverting funds from something else or anything of that nature. And don't make a mistake about it. He clearly understands he is a steward of this house. And it's probably the only time in the history of presidents that the president, when he leaves the White House, will be going to a larger, better, more modern, beautiful property, as he has several, including castles around the world. Mar-a-Lago is nothing to sneeze at.
Turn your mic back on.
Sorry. My mic shut off. Sorry about that, folks. So usually, look, the White House is an incredible home that most presidents go to live in, and it was a downgrade for this guy. Point is, he understands it. Projects are going to be done. He's going to be out of office when it's in full use. But look, we have to take our first break here on the Wednesday edition of the Joe Mangiacotti Show on AM 830 WCRN. 508-871-7000 to join the conversation. That's 508-871-7000. That's how you join the conversation, as Mark did. Mark, hold through the break. We'll go to the phones on the other side of the break. That will be 2 minutes, 2 seconds till we return, folks. Stick with us.
This October, Polar Park presents Boo in the Woo. The adult version is a haunted restoration tour with zombie-infested locker rooms, eerie tunnels, and decaying batting cages. Join us if you dare.
But don't worry, children can enjoy the weekends with Boo in the Woo for kids, with pumpkin decorating, carnival games, and family fun for all ages. Get your tickets now at polarpark.com/boo. This October, it's Boo in the Woo, just for you.
Junk piling up, garage bursting at the seams. It's time to call in the mighty at Mighty Movers. They don't just move, they remove. Their junk removal and clean out services are the fastest, easiest way to reclaim your space without lifting a finger. Whether it's yard waste, old furniture, garage cleanouts, or even hoarder cleanup, they've got the muscle and the mission to get it done safely and affordably. Selling your home or just tired of the clutter? They do offer full property cleanouts, demolition, and furniture delivery too. One call clears it all. Proudly serving Marlborough, Boston, Worcester, Framingham, and beyond. They're Central Mass's cleanup crew with a can-do attitude. Call 978-793-6165 or visit MightyMoversMA.com. MightyMoversMA.com. Mighty Movers. They bring the might so you don't have to lift a thing.
WCRN Radio is thrilled to bring back a legendary voice, and now you can help tell the stories. Paul Harvey captivated millions with his unique style and unmistakable voice. By sponsoring the rest of the story, your brand can become a part of this rich tradition, and it links your business with a program that people love and trust. So don't miss this unique opportunity to grow your business while becoming part of something truly special. For sponsorship details, just go to WCRNradio.com.
All right, folks. Here, welcome back here to the second segment of the Wednesday afternoon edition of the Joe Mangiacotti Show on AM 830 WCRN. Hey, reminding folks, we are streaming on the TuneIn app 24/7 like thousands of other radio stations. And if you'd like, you can always watch and listen to the show either on the station's Facebook page, YouTube channel, or on my social media platforms at Joe Mangi Show, MANGI. So that would be Facebook, X, Twitch TV, LinkedIn profile. And we do stream live to the Rumble channel, the Joe Mangiacotti Show on Rumble. So check it all out. Hey, the show's also turned into a podcast when I get done. So subscribe if you'd like to get it in podcast form, wherever you get your podcasts. Most people use Spotify or Podbean. You can do it Google Play, iHeartRadio, TuneIn. You got it all. 508-871-7000 to join the conversation. Let's go to the phones. Mark's waiting patiently. Hey, Mark, what say you?
What I say is it's all about, this 10% of teapot and this big brouhaha over what they're calling Trump's ballroom. All it is it's a decent greeting area for international heads of state visitors, so they don't have to be in that drafty old broken down creaky parts of it still are what we call the White House. So, I mean, yeah, go for it. I could care less one way or the other. I'm never going to go there or be invited there or so much as eat a cupcake there. So I don't care. It's cool with me. What is really good news today, and I don't have internet connection right now, so I can't find out, but a lot of these websites, like for the price of gasoline or diesel, or a lot of them are like 2 days a week out of. They're not updated. You know what I'm saying? A lot of them aren't updated. So what's the point of going through them anyways? Because they're inaccurate. At least 50% of them. So that being said, the moderator on another radio station in Boston, he made the statement that on average, throughout the country, big country, a lot of different regions, right? The price of a gallon of regular gasoline has dipped below $3 a gallon. And let me tell you, my friends, that's real good news. And Trump, you know what he's doing? He's going to the CEOs of these big oil corporations, and he's saying, you're going to get the price of this gasoline down, I'm telling you. And you're going to do it. And I want it down around the 260, 270 range by the time the midterm elections go over. So that's real good news, and that's going to kick inflation in the butt, too.
Absolutely, Mark. Thank you for the call. And yes, the actual, just to fill you in on this and everyone else, the national average price of a gallon of regular gas right now is $3.06 nationally. Now, there are a lot of states, basically in the middle of America, where it's actually under $3. And the barrel, price per barrel, $47. So gas has dropped significantly, and if you were to look at through the last 4 years, majority of that being in the Biden administration, where we were up into the $5 and $6 range, it's dropped about 30 some odd cents since January. And again, that's because the messaging, right? The messaging is so different. Under the Biden administration, it was regulation. He was constantly threatening this fossil fuel industry, literally threatening them, right? And cutting down the production. Right now, we are at the highest production domestically of natural gas and oil that we've ever been at. And the messaging from this administration to the energy industry is drill, baby, drill. We're drilling more in the Gulf of America. We're drilling more on land that has been leased out. And this will, of course, obviously, the supply is just increasing. Well, the demand doesn't change much, so the price will continue to drop. But at the same time, Don't forget that the president is telling other nations, get your energy from the United States. Get it from us, because he's telling them at the same time, do not buy Putin's oil. Do not buy Iran's dirty oil. Do not buy oil from these countries that you're not aligned with. Because those who are buying Putin's oil are funding the Ukraine war. So yes, $3.06 national average. Now, California is always higher, and they're looking. I don't know if you've caught this, Mark, and everyone else, but they're looking at a possible $6-7 a gallon coming up in California because of their ridiculous regulations and the taxes, and they really do, again, punitively tax the oil out there, the gas out there. And again, it goes back to the fact that if you're uber rich, California can work for you. Because if you're worth hundreds of millions of dollars, not even the billions, these people are worth millions, right? Who make a 7-8 figures a year. Does their life change at all between $3.50 a gallon and $6.50 a gallon? No, it doesn't. It's not going to affect their lives. They're not going to have to cut the cable bill, or Johnny cannot play football, or they can't do dance lessons. You get it? It doesn't change their lives at all. And then if you are on the very low spectrum of the income, you're probably not maintaining a car anyway. And there's all kinds of programs and subsidies. So California is that whole middle class absolutely disappearing. The massive number of U-Hauls leaving California and none going back, that really does say a lot. And think about it. Since the creation of the state of California under this governor, Newsom, I know what Trump calls him, it's the first time that more people, they have a net loss, more people actually leaving California than actually entering California. It's just the way it is. And that says a lot. And he goes out there, right? He goes out there and acts like he has something to do with California's greatness. California is just one of those beautiful states. It has incredible weather, miles and miles of coastal property, mountains, oceans, right? Great weather. It's just, he has nothing to do with it. Everything that's good about California existed long before he was governor, long before he was born. A lot of what's bad about California has a lot to do with him. All right, 508-871-7000 to join the conversation. I do want to go back just a little bit because, and I think this got glossed over when it happened, and not enough people are really bringing this stuff up, right? Because whether it's The View or any of these other talking heads on CNN, MSNBC, and, what Trump in the ballroom, what he's doing, and so forth. Well, where were you during the Clinton administration when the Lincoln bedroom and other guest rooms at the White House, by the way, they were literally offered overnight stays to donors? Fundraising. For example, a 1998 Senate record noted that an astonishing 938 guests spent the night in the Lincoln bedroom. That generated over $6 million for the Democratic National Committee. Who's disrespecting the White House now? A 1997 report from the Washington Post documented that among those invited to sleep in the Lincoln and Queen's bedrooms were some of DNC's biggest contributors. Hollywood producer David Geffen. He donated $200,000. He raised $1 million. Ron Burkle gave $100,000, raised $750,000 after they stayed there. Now, some critics labeled the practice effectively selling access to the presidency or using the White House as a fundraising vehicle. Selling access to the presidency. For example, the Senate record quotes a presidential historian saying there has never been anything of the magnitude of President Clinton's use of the White House for fundraising purposes. It's the selling of the White House. But there was no front page scandal. There were no View or MSNBC or CNN talking heads saying, what is this? No president's ever done this before. You're making the White House an Airbnb. So in the quid pro quo, right? What's there? Stay in the Lincoln bedroom. Does that equal a quid pro quo for something, or is it just seriously the money? Is it a formal trading of access for donations? I mean, there was no vehicle or mechanism in place for that. So spare me on this stuff. Just spare me, okay? The use of the Lincoln bedroom, something else. All right, 508-871-7000 to join the conversation. That's 508-871-7000. All right, the something else I want to touch on because it's come back up in the news, and remember we talked about it when this was happening. But the FEMA, Federal Emergency Management Agency, Homeland Security, DHS, remember where they were accused of avoiding homes with Trump signs and so forth? An internal investigation by DHS reveals that from 2021 to 2024, certain FEMA officials under the Joe Biden administration allegedly refused disaster relief assistance to survivors on the basis of political discrimination. Woo! We talked about this. The report concluded that aid was denied or delayed, not because of eligibility, but individuals did not align with certain political or ideological criteria. That is crazy, folks. And people have got to pay for this. I know they did let one lady go, right? Remember that? They did sacrifice somebody on that. We'll dive into that a little bit more, and there's plenty more stuff to talk about here, folks, but we got to take the mid-show break here on the Wednesday edition of the Joe Mangiacotti Show on AM 830 WCRN. 508-871-7000 is how you join the conversation. That's 508-871-7000. Our text line is running at 617-297-8388. And don't forget, if you want to click on Facebook or X or Twitch TV or LinkedIn profile, just go to Rumble, the Joe Mangiacotti Show. You can watch and listen via our live stream. 508-871-7000. Stick with us. We'll be back in 2 minutes, 2 seconds on the other side. Stick with us.
Time now for the forecast from the Boston Independence Group Weather Center. Call Jerry Doherty today at 877-772-1776. Retirement is within reach.
I'm meteorologist Sherry Spearn. Here's the latest Boston 25 weather on Radio 830 WCRN. We got all that rain out of the way this morning. Now we're going to keep it partly cloudy and dry this afternoon. A little bit breezy as well, with some gusts around 20 to 30 miles per hour and high temperatures in the lower 60s today. Overnight tonight, expect mostly clear skies and 40s, and we'll jump up to about 60 tomorrow with a mix of sun and clouds. I'm meteorologist Sherry Spearn. You can hear Boston 25 live for the morning drive weekdays on AM 830 WCRN.
More live and local radio is next. Stay tuned to Radio Central 830 WCRN.
Are you looking for a holistic approach to your health? One that supports your body's natural ability to regulate, adapt, regenerate, and heal? Look no further. The Bioregulatory Medicine Institute, BRMI, a nonprofit global organization dedicated to advancing the science and art of bioregulatory medicine, welcomes you to their free and rich library of resources. You'll find articles, podcasts, videos, and more at brmi.online. BRMI believes health freedom is a basic human right, honoring medical ethics and the innate intelligence of the human body. When your body is properly supported, it will thrive. If you're looking for the root cause of illness, physical, emotional, or spiritual, visit brmi.online. brmi.online.
All right, folks, welcome back here to the second half of the Wednesday edition of the Joe Mangiacotti Show on AM 830 WCRN Radio Central, where you can join the conversation at 508-871-7000. That's 508-871-7000, or text us. Participate that way at 617-297-8388. Let me jump to the phones. Ken's waiting patiently. Hey, Ken, what say you?
Hello, Joe. You know what? For the most part, I kind of agree with Mark. It's like, yeah, you know, we can easily disabuse the left media on this issue. There's so many things to hit them up with. And you hit most of them, but you did forget one, though.
Yeah.
Monica?
Oh, that's another thing, right? Because Hillary spoke up to say she's so concerned about what's going on in the White House. Really? Really?
Right.
Glad to know that. Were you always that concerned?
Right. I mean, they should know to stay away. They're just
and don't forget, Ken, she's the Clintons are also, she should really shut up on this, right? Because she's the one that got busted taking $28,000 worth of silverware, and then the furnishings they had to return. I mean, what even made you think that you moved into the White House when you left, you were able to take antique furniture with huge historical value and furniture, silverware, china? You were able to, no, it was there when you moved in. You don't get to take it when you, what do you think, the towels in a hotel room? No. And of course they had to return it all. People freaked out about that less than Trump taking napkins and menus and mementos when he left, which as president, he can declassify anything, but that's a whole nother show.
You just have to realize the left only has one side of the ledger. They totally forget and flush away all of the things that they've done that are wrong. That's just the way it is.
Like I said, the memory is always convenient, right? It's never draw the things. And then the blatant, I mean, I was watching Schumer out there and he's talking about, he's getting on the ballroom and he's literally saying he didn't go to Congress. He didn't, where's that taxpayer money? And either he is such, I don't want to be like mean-spirited, but either there's only one of two things that are true here, Ken. Either he's a complete moron, or he absolutely knows that there is not one penny of taxpayer money being touched, and it's all been donor from Donald Trump himself and other donors. He knows that, and he's, again, insulting your intelligence by blatantly lying to you about that, or he's just an idiot, and he thinks that it's taxpayer money. How much of a bubble does he have to be in not to know this? And wouldn't you think that his people, that somebody loves him enough to say, you don't say that because you look like a moron, because it's not using any taxpayer money. It's all through private money. But no, they blatantly lie. Then we got KJP out there and she's doubling down. I mean, I understand when she was the press secretary, that was her job to spin it the best she could. But she's literally doubling down on this now. But your point was?
Well, I wanted to get to, when things like this happen, my first thought is always, okay, why did that happen? Or what brought that up? Well, our president's been a little busy this year, the past 9 months.
Yeah, a little bit.
He's been all over the world. And he's been inviting people from all over the world to the White House.
Mm-hmm.
So with all of that activity along the way, it's like, how is it that these other nations have a lot better than we have, and we're the big dog? And particularly when you're a construction person like him, and it's like, okay, that got him thinking. It's and I'm making all these big deals, and I wasn't a fan of the tariffs. In fact, that's one of the biggest reasons why I didn't vote for him in 2016. And I was concerned in April. Is this going to work out okay? Well, now I'm not concerned because he's bringing in hundreds of billions of dollars and helping to reduce the deficit, making all sorts of deals, bringing jobs back to the U.S., and he's using the tariffs for brilliant foreign policy.
Mm-hmm.
And along the way, you know what? If private money of about $250 million, $250 million thereabouts, goes to getting more of these deals, ding, 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 I'm all for it. Yippee! Yeah. Bring it on.
No, you're right. I brought this up on the show the other day. Is he has used tariffs, and now this is going in front of the Supreme Court, right? About using tariffs and so forth. And every other president has been able to do it. Nobody had a problem with it. But let's put a pin in that. But he's not only has he increased all of this revenue, and again, and I know I've talked about this in the past, Ken, is this is not something that Donald Trump, once he became president, all of a sudden came into it. You can go back and watch him on Oprah and all these talk shows from the 90s forward, where he talked about the inequity of tariffs and the inequity of trade with nations, and that they've been eating our lunch for years. And I mean, he's been talking literally decades about how America has been taken advantage of. And he just simply said, look, if you put 50% tariff on cars coming into your country, we're going to put them on your cars coming in our country. It's that simple. That's why, a lot of these countries, you don't see any American cars, right? And I know in China, a $60,000, $70,000 Range Rover vehicle here is $300,000 in China because of that. Or you got to get it on the black market or whatever the case is. So he's equalizing the trade. And then he's used the tariffs or threats of to force deals and negotiate. So I think he's used those arrows in his quiver very effectively. And the evidence of that is, look where we are today. As you pointed out, hundreds of billions of dollars of revenue would otherwise not have, and people entering trade deals that they wouldn't have. And he has been able to bring conflicts and wars to an end, because part of that, again, tool in the toolbox was, if you don't come to something here, I'm going to slap 150% tariff, or you can't buy anything from the United States, or you can't sell anything in the United States. So again, why do we not look at the results? And when he came into the second term, I know you weren't big on the tariffs, but what was I saying then? Let's give it a chance. The guy's track record, he's done pretty well in doing these things. I say, give him a shot, and I'm okay with the results now.
And in 6 months, he sold me. And guess what? That's what I'm reading as far as the left's reaction. They're squealing like pigs because they realize, oh my, he's going to do even more of this, and we're not capable of what he's doing. So even if we did get in power, how do we match what he did? They're not getting in power. Guess what?
It would be like coming to a screeching halt, progressive-wise. Like,
So that's why they're complaining so much. They know they're on the losing side, and they have to use any weapon possible to defeat him. Fly is one of those weapons.
Yeah. Also, Ken, do you think that, and not just left, but I think politicians, Washington in general, don't get the speed of Trump? Because they're used to the speed of Washington, bureaucracy, government. Politicians say, we're going to talk about it, and they feel like that's an accomplishment, that they had a conversation. Whereas Trump, the conversation isn't even the beginning. Like, I mean, he just moves. And the fact that he can do multiple things, they're complaining about the ballroom. Well, there's much bigger things. Yeah, we know. But Trump can do multiple things. You think Trump's actually, in Trump's case with the ballroom, because he is a real estate developer, he's probably was very involved with picking everything out, from the flooring to the walls to the ceiling, everything. I'm sure, you know what I'm saying? Because that's who he is. But he's also ending 8 world conflicts. He's also doing the tariff deals. You know what I'm saying? He can do multiple things. I can't think of a politician that we can look to in my lifetime of politics that there was a politician that was able to do so many multitasking at this level with the results as fast and as quick. And I don't think we even had it. We didn't even have this in the first term. But the first term, he was a neophyte without any elected experience. He trusted the establishment way too much. They took advantage of him on that, and he was loaded. His administration was loaded with people who were technically working for the administration and serving at the pleasure of the presidents, but they were working against him. he knew a lot more going into the second term. And again, I think where you look back at this, and I think the one term off, those 4 years, did a lot for him, and therefore did a lot for the country.
And of course, he's doing that in the prime of his age. He's only 79.
Yeah.
Who could have think that anybody could have done what he's done the last 8 months?
Yeah.
And what does Democrats show? No gratitude at all. They're just they hate him because they can't match him, and they're losing power rapidly. Thank you.
And he thinks outside of the box, right? On so many ways. I mean, this whole Schumer shutdown too. I mean, it's really, normally the media does spin it, right? The Republicans usually get blamed for that and so forth. But it's clearly because, look, the Republicans, folks, the 12 votes Republicans have put forth to keep the government open with a clean continuing resolution. Meanwhile, the Democrats are coming there saying, no, you've got to give us all of this stuff that we want. $1.5 trillion in spending, continue the pandemic of the Obama incentives and all this, which results in money that would be used by illegal aliens that are here, that the taxpayers are saying you want us to saddle a $1.5 trillion? No. What is wrong with continuing with the clean resolution, keeping everything the way it is while you negotiate it? They are causing the pain. This government is shut down clearly because of Schumer and those few Democrats that just refuse. And Schumer's just petrified of AOC primarying him, right? Because when he did the one before, right, now that's why they're pulling it. Because remember when you went along with the CR before, they came all down. The left came up, the far left, the progressive far left came down. And why did you do this? And AOC, you got to primary him. And the only reason there are polls out there is because of that. And she's killing him in all the polls. That's what he's petrified of. Final thought, we're against the clock.
You notice the left media isn't talking about the horrors of a shutdown. She was on the other foot, boys.
Yeah.
That's why you're quiet.
Yeah, like I said in the past, they used to love to be able to spin it on Republicans. They can't do that this time. Ken, thank you for the call. Always a great call, folks. 508-871-7000 to join the conversation. That's 508-871-7000. Lines are open and available. Stay with us back in 2 and 2 for the fourth and final, folks.
WCRN, where the left and the right meet in the middle. Whether you lean left, lean right, or just want to stay informed, WCRN has you covered with diverse voices, lively debates, and thought-provoking discussions. You'll hear it all right here. Radio Central.
Are you tired of the Orwellian speech, the hypocrisy rampant throughout government and within the Beltway? I'm reminding you talk radio is the immune system to the partisan bias, political rhetoric attacking us on a daily basis. Get inoculated. Tune in to Joe Mangiacotti on WCRN 830 AM, where common sense meets common ground. Joe is the conservative voice with a twist, blending a constitutionalist respect for our founding principles with a libertarian's drive for freedom. He's got a unique style that's half constitutionalist, half common sense, and all about empowering you. Just listen to his callers.
Joe, I have to tell you first, I've listened to you a couple of times on your own show here, and I have to tell you, I enjoy listening to you. You have some really good, intelligent, cogent thoughts rather than just the constant monologue of conservative talk that sometimes we get wound up in.
Joe's even-tempered, intelligent approach cuts through the clutter and dives into the issues that matter to you. Join Joe Mangiacotti for Common Sense Conversation for the Common Sense Citizen and discover how logic, truth, and a calm voice can change minds, even those who might disagree at first. It's not just talk, it's a movement. Catch Joe Mangiacotti, WCRN 830 AM.
Supplements are a tricky business. Some are made in China and other countries with poor quality control. Many supplements contain fillers and dyes that may actually harm you. Many ingredients are not bioavailable and can't be used efficiently by your body. Let Phil George, the biochemist from Wellness Wave Radio, help you navigate these minefields. Just contact Phil at philgeorge@charter.net for a free consult.
More live and local radio is next. Stay tuned to Radio Central, 830 WCRN.
All right, folks, welcome back here for fourth and final segment on the Wednesday edition of the Joe Mangiacotti Show on AM 830 WCRN. And don't forget, we're streaming on my social media platforms at Joe Mangi Show. The show is turned into a podcast when I get off the air, so you can subscribe and be notified when a new episode drops on Spotify, Podbean, all the usual places that you get your podcast. So I said earlier about, excuse me, a little frog in the throat, the FEMA in this internal investigation revealed that they were doing this. Aid meant to flow impartially to disaster survivors was being filtered through politically colored lenses, raising serious concerns about rule of law and equal treatment under government programs. So if you look at this from a limited government or libertarian type of vantage point, when a federal agency uses discretionary power based on politics rather than the need, it violates the principle of equal protection fairness.
You know, I
Sovereign borders aside, it is about the internal border, a firewall between government services and politics. And that's a firewall, guys, that it cannot be broken. If FEMA is denying aid based on politics that undermines public trust, excuse me, in the legitimacy of federal emergency management, it highlights the risk of bureaucratic discretion taking transparent oversight. See, when government programs become vehicles for partisan filtering rather than objective relief, they've crossed the line. So now we have to have that conversation about accountability, oversight of federal agency. Who watches the watchers? Where's the audit trail here? For individual liberty, disaster survivors should not be penalized or even rewarded based on their beliefs. Aid should be non-ideological and need-based. That's just the way it should be. But the investigation the DHS put out, it says that the FEMA employees cited political reasons when they bypassed eligible survivors in relief programs. We saw those emails. They got leaked, right? They put them out there where they were talking about if they have the Trump sign, how to deal with them or to pass over them. And historically, emergency relief in the United States, and we go to the Robert T. Stafford Disaster Relief and Emergency Assistance Act, it was intended to provide aid impartially and quickly to those affected by disasters, regardless of their politics. Constitutionally, while the federal relief function derived from Congress's spending power, yes, it does, right? But the president's emergency authority, that's administrative discretion, must still conform to the Fifth Amendment, due process, equal protection, and the Administrative Procurement Act. So from a rule of law standpoint, when an agency denies aid for politically related reasons, it's risking being arbitrary and lacking a rational basis, which can trigger judicial review. So the question becomes, who's going to answer for it? Who's going to answer for this? Who's responsible? Who has to take it on the chin for this? We'll follow the story as it unfolds. 508-871-7000 to join the conversation. That's 508-871-7000. All right. Just as it came across my desk, and I thought, this Mangione, remember Luigi Mangione, this 27-year-old Ivy League graduate? He's been charged with assassinating the CEO of United Healthcare, Brian Thompson, back in December of 24 in New York City. But apparently, in his travel diary and with the WhatsApp app message, Mangione revealed that he'd been backpacking in Asia, earlier in the year, earlier in 2024. And he claimed he was beaten up by a group of 7 transgender women in Bangkok, Thailand. Bizarre turn, and what prosecutors say was a premeditated plot targeting the U.S. health insurance industry. So he's pleaded not guilty to both state and federal charges there, and he faces potential death penalty sentencing on this. But he used the term, so he wrote in the WhatsApp that he was attacked by ladyboys, which is the term used there in Thailand. It's a common term for transgender or not necessarily transgender, but the boys who dress up as the ladies, including this attack in Bangkok. So it kind of raises some questions about mental state, motives, readiness to commit the violence. His complaint about U.S. healthcare insurance system, contrasting remarks about overseas healthcare costs. So this could suggest some ideological grievance and maybe possible motive here. So he spent, according to these reports, Mangione spent earlier 2024 backpacking across Asia, became increasingly isolated, fixated on what he believed were injustices in the U.S. healthcare and insurance system, and reportedly contract cost of medical procedures abroad, so like in Thailand, with U.S. insurance burdens. So in this WhatsApp app that you can get, this is the one I think Facebook bought now. It used to be encrypted. It is still encrypted, but it used to be a secure thing. But since Meta bought it, I don't think it is. But he says he was beaten up by 7 ladyboys. And again, that's a colloquial term in Thailand for a transgender woman during a night in Bangkok. And he posted a photo of his scratched arm. Well, it may not seem all that important. It does offer some insight into potential personal distress, some humiliation, destabilizing travel experience. And he wrote with this, and this is what prosecutors looking at, I finally feel confident about what I'll do. The target is insurance. It checks every box. So this seems to be when he has developed the plan or the desire to target as an insurance executive. May have been during this Thailand backpacking trip. 508-871-7000 to join the conversation. What say you? Lines are open and available. Before we have to wrap up today, so politically to our north, our neighbors to the north, John Sununu has launched a bid for the Senate seat in New Hampshire. And this is not necessarily bad news unless you are, Scott Brown. So here we go again. Political merry-go-round spins back up in New Hampshire. It's bringing back familiar face, Johnny Sununu. And I was in the 80s and parts of 90s. I was a news director at a station in Nashua, and we had the father, Sununu, governor up there, and he was good buddies with Bush. And then his son has gone on to be governor there. And it is the same Sununu who lost the Senate seat back in 2008. But he says he's ready for a comeback. And he does come from this long line of political insiders, right? Sununu name has been stamped on granite state politics for decades now. So the question is this return of a thoughtful, limited government Republican or just another establishment reboot dressed up in a new outfit here? And we've got Scott Brown, who's already in the race, who was our senator. And I think most of us remember, that debate when the moderator at the Globe referred to it as Kennedy seat, and Scott Brown came back with it's the people seat. And I was doing morning drive there then at the time, and we covered this and all because it would have been the 44th Republican seat or that was open, and he ended up getting, because that went viral across the country, and it resulted in that massive fundraising because people from all over the country were sending $44 and symbolically to that. And he raised millions of dollars after that. And that was the upset. And Brown got the Mass Senate seat. I think that's the last time we had a Republican in all of New England. Because I don't think Maine, right? Collins or something, right? But I mean, think about it. We don't have one Republican, even though over 40% of the state votes Republican. Our entire congressional delegation is Democrat. So Brown is already in that race. A moderate, right? Reach across the aisle type. So what we're seeing in this GOP primary is a battle for, well, the solely Republican Party in New England, I guess. So where is Liberty fitting into all this? We'll see. The voters will have to answer that. But the political and ideological stakes in Sununu's entry into the 2026 Senate race, we got to contrast that. Is it Republican versus liberty-based conservatism? Are they too close to make a distinction? Who's going to pull out on that? I mean, Sununu has done, I think, again, I'm not drilling down into New Hampshire politics, but Sununu did a great job, I thought, as governor up there. And he was certainly there to jump on any opportunity to capitalize on the stupidity of Massachusetts from time to time. So we got ex-Massachusetts Senator Scott Brown facing and he was former Trump ambassador, remember, and he was ambassador, senator, state legislature, of course, versus Sununu, which has a very solid name in Rhode Island, where'd that come from New Hampshire politics. So what's going to happen? We'll have to watch it. This will be interesting in what the face-off is, because New Hampshire has gone from what used to be a pretty conservative state to not just purple, but I think has leaning blue from time to time. And many years ago, when I was in news in New Hampshire, Loeb, right, the Manchester paper and stuff was the old man was pretty conservative, but they've moved more towards the Boston Globe style of stuff. But folks, we're going to have to wrap up the Wednesday edition of the Joe Mangiacotti Show on AM 830 WCRN. Thank you for stopping by today. Back tomorrow afternoon at 1 o'clock. And don't forget, we're always streaming on my social media platforms, and we are turned into a podcast. So that will wrap up today's show. Back tomorrow at 1 o'clock. Joe out.
Headline news, weather, and local information.